Lyria's four eyes blinked in sequence as she watched her husband Marcus tend to the garden outside their habitat dome. His movements were careful, deliberate, as he pruned the Terran roses he'd cultivated for her. The Zelthari woman had fallen in love with those movements. The gentleness with which he handled everything, from the delicate flowers to her own crystalline skin. "How did I get so lucky?" she whispered to herself, her translator chip converting her melodic language into standard. They had met at the interspecies cultural exchange on Station Harmony. Marcus was a human diplomat, soft-spoken and kind, always the first to apologize, the last to raise his voice. In the 3 years since their bonding ceremony, Lyria had never seen him angry. Not once. Her species, the Zelthari, were known throughout the galaxy as warriors. 7 feet tall, armored skin, capable of crushing Duraplast with their bare hands. Yet Marcus, barely 6 feet and seemingly fragile, had never shown even a hint of fear around her superior strength. That was what she loved most about humans. Their peacefulness, their evolution beyond the savage wars that still plagued so many species. The proximity alarm shattered the morning calm. Marcus dropped his pruning shears and sprinted toward the comm terminal. Lyria followed, her longer stride catching up easily. The holographic display showed 12 Krathok raiders descending from orbit. Military-grade armor, plasma rifles, the works. Pirates who preyed on remote settlements like theirs. "We need to get to the safe room," Marcus said, his voice steady but urgent. "Now." "Marcus, there are 12 of them. We should call for—" "The nearest patrol is 4 hours away." He pulled up the security feeds. The raiders were already breaching the outer perimeter. "We have maybe 3 minutes." Lyria's combat instincts flared. She could take perhaps 3 of them before being overwhelmed. But Marcus was already moving. Not toward the safe room, but toward their storage unit. "What are you doing?" He didn't answer. His hands moved with purpose, pulling out a sealed container she'd never seen before. Inside was something that made her translator chip struggle with the terminology. Military-grade combat armor, weapons, equipment that looked disturbingly well-maintained. "Marcus? Get in the safe room, Lyria." His voice had changed. The softness was gone, replaced by something cold and precise. "Lock it from inside. Don't come out until I give the all-clear. I'm not leaving you to— safe room now." The command froze her blood. She'd never heard that tone from him. Never seen the look in his eyes. Focused, calculating, empty of everything except purpose. Before she could protest further, he was suited up. The transformation took less than 90 seconds. The gentleman who apologized to insects before escorting them outside was gone. In his place stood something that made her ancient warrior instincts scream danger. "Please," he said, and for just a moment she saw her husband again. "Trust me." Lyria retreated to the safe room, her hands shaking as she sealed the door. The walls were reinforced, soundproofed, but she activated the external cameras anyway. What she witnessed next would haunt her forever. Marcus stood alone in the central courtyard as the 12 Krathok raiders converged. They were laughing. She could see it in their body language. One human, barely protected, facing a dozen professional soldiers. It must have seemed like a joke. The first raider died before the others realized the fight had started. Marcus moved like liquid violence. He didn't fight the way Lyria's people fought, with raw power and straightforward strikes. He fought like water finding cracks in stone, like a surgical laser cutting through armor plating. Every movement was economical, precise, brutal in its efficiency. A Krathok swung a plasma rifle like a club. Marcus ducked under it, his combat knife finding the gap between helmet and chest plate. The raider dropped. 2 more charged simultaneously. Marcus used one as a shield, his armor's servos giving him the strength to lift the massive alien, then threw the body into the second attacker with enough force to shatter both their tactical displays. The remaining 9 stopped laughing. They opened fire. Marcus was already moving, using the terrain of his own garden, terrain he knew intimately, to stay ahead of their aim. He disappeared behind a storage unit, and when the raiders cautiously advanced, he emerged from a different angle entirely, having circled through the maintenance tunnels. Lyria watched, her 4 eyes wide with horror and awe as her gentle husband systematically dismantled a professional military unit. He used their own tactics against them, turned their formations into traps, exploited every mistake with lethal precision. When the 8th raider fell, the remaining 4 broke formation and ran for their ship. Marcus let them go. 20 minutes later, Lyria emerged from the safe room on trembling legs. Marcus was in the decontamination chamber, the armor already removed, standing under the chemical shower in his undersuit. His hands were steady as he cleaned the blood from his skin. Marcus. He looked at her and she saw both men simultaneously, the killer and the gardener existing in the same being. I'm sorry you had to see that. His voice was soft again, achingly familiar. What are you? He stepped out of the shower, reaching for a towel. I'm exactly who I've always been, Lyria. I'm a human. He met her eyes. We learned to be gentle. We chose peace. But we didn't forget how to survive. You were military. Special forces. 20 years. I retired because I was tired of fighting. He smiled sadly. I came to the stars hoping I'd never have to fight again. I built a garden instead of a fortress. I married the most amazing woman in the galaxy. I thought I could leave that part of me behind. Lyria's legs folded and she sat heavily on the bench. You've never even raised your voice at me. Because you never gave me a reason to. Marcus knelt before her, taking her crystalline hands in his scarred human ones. Being capable of violence and choosing peace, that's not weakness, Lyria. It's the hardest thing my species ever learned. We're not gentle because we can't be dangerous. We're gentle because we know exactly how dangerous we can be. She looked into his eyes and finally understood. Humans weren't peaceful because they'd evolved beyond violence. They were peaceful because they'd mastered it so completely that they understood its cost. The galaxy thinks we're soft, Marcus continued. They think gentle means harmless, and they're wrong. We're gentle because we choose to be. But when something threatens what we love, he gestured toward the courtyard where medic drones were already clearing the bodies. We remember who we used to be. Lyria pulled him into an embrace, careful of her strength as she always was. But now she understood. He'd always been just as careful, just as controlled. Not because he was weak, but because he was strong enough to be gentle. I love you, she whispered. I love you too. He held her close. And I'd face 1,000 armies to keep you safe. She believed him. She'd seen the proof. Her gentle human husband who apologized to flowers and wrote poetry, who made her laugh and held her when she cried. He was also the man who'd faced 12 armed raiders alone and won. Both truths were equally real. That was what it meant to be human.